Now, if you've ever watched the film Fiddler on the Roof, you'll already know about klezmer. It's a traditional style of Jewish music with a long and fascinating history. Next week, the Jewish Music Institute will be holding their annual Klezfest event, and Nina's got herself a private concert.
Oh, Susie and Josh, that's fantastic. That sounds amazing. I understand this is klezmer music. Could you please tell me what that is?
Klezmer music is Jewish instrumental folk music from Eastern Europe, and it was played for weddings mainly by the Yiddish-speaking communities.
Yeah. What are its main characteristics, would you say?
Well, I'd say happy and sad at the same time.
All right.
You know, so
could you give me an example of that, perhaps?
Okay, yeah. So the clarinet can do something like laughing.
Okay.
But also something more melancholic, you know.
Wow, you can really actually hear that. And in terms of the accordion, I've got to say that is a very striking looking accordion. Could you tell me, is that different to a normal accordion?
No, it's a pretty standard piano accordion which you find all over the world. But I mean, in klezmer music, the accordion's role is more an accompanying role, and you're there to kind of emulate the sound of these big bands that they used to have. They used to have 16-piece, 20-piece orchestras playing klezmer. Nowadays, you have more often a duo or something like that. So I'm having to do the bass lines, I'm having to do the melodies at the same time, you know, and sort of like combine all of those elements.
Do you know what I find incredible is you don't even look down at the notes.
Oh, you don't want to look, you get very confused.
How do you learn klezmer?
Oh, well, actually, it's an oral tradition. So the best is to find the historical recordings and learn from those. I mean, or learn from other people who've learned with the historical recordings.
Yeah, you can have sheet music and people do write the tunes down, but you only get about 40% of the information, and the rest you really need to listen, don't you?
It's a style. Like if you're going to learn jazz, you wouldn't just get a book out and read it, you know.
Can I ask, are either of you Jewish?
I'm not Jewish.
No. So why the interest in klezmer music? Where did that come from?
Well, for me as a clarinet player, it's a great opportunity to be a band leader. And the tunes are just so good. I just fell in love with the music.
Yeah.
And I'm classically trained, actually. But I love playing this music on my instrument.
Do you feel klezmer's having a bit of a revival at the moment?
Well, it started in the late 1970s in the States. And slowly the klezmer music's sort of come over here, and especially in the last 20 years, that the Jewish Music Institute set up Klezfest. And since that's where I met my bandmates in Chicago.
Oh, tell me a bit more about Klezfest, please.
Oh, well, it's a summer school. It's online this year. It starts tomorrow. And it's for anybody who plays an instrument and wants to get more into klezmer music.
Absolutely. Could you give us a taste, please, then, of klezmer music?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So good. And staying with the theme of music, you've been sharing your Sunday morning soundtracks. Elizabeth Boogie's to Happy by Pharrell. Brilliant song. Scott loves a little bit of the Nolan Sisters on a Sunday morning. And James fancies A Bit of Love Is in the Air by John Paul Young. Oh, brilliant songs. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we celebrated the fact that friend of the show, Rajinder Singh, otherwise known as the Skipping Sikh, had received his MBE from Prince Charles for promoting exercise during lockdown and raising thousands of pounds for the NHS while doing it. But, as it turns out, skipping is just one of his talents. He's also a pretty green-fingered gardener who grows a little piece of India in his local allotment.
So I will be retiring as Vicar of Findon and leaving Findon, which I've loved. And I don't want to be a vicar anywhere else. So I'm going down to live on the south coast, and I'm going to volunteer with the agreement of the bishop and the chaplain general as a prison chaplain.
You won't have a house like this, though, will you?
I doubt it very much. HMP Lewis doesn't quite match this, I don't think.
Brilliant. It's really good to talk to you. Thank you.
You too.
Richard.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, it really was such a pleasure talking to him.
Oh, that was so moving. Now, last week a video emerged of a Jewish man experiencing anti-Semitic abuse. Absolutely. Could you give us a taste, please, then, of klezmer music?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So good. And staying with the theme of music, you've been sharing your Sunday morning soundtracks. Elizabeth's Boogies to Happy by Pharrell. Time people carry out hate crimes, they're already damaged. That is all we've got time for today. Thank you to all our guests, and we'll listen to Paul Carrack play us out on the show. Goodbye.
When you feel the burden on your shoulder, I'll be there to share the heavy load. Every day I'll walk along beside you. Every twist and turn along the road. Forsake you as you swim against the tide. I will be the shelter when there's nowhere else to hide.
Indeed, I'm not going to just pray. I'm going to just sit there on the edge and just say, "Come on, England! Come on, lad!"
I think they've already got God on their side, if I'm honest.
Indeed, yes.
Matt and Rev Puya, thank you for joining us, and it's coming home.
Yes.
Next, we welcome a stalwart of British soul pop, a legendary singer, songwriter who's not only had a successful solo career, but who's also been a member of Ace, Squeeze and Mike and the Mechanics, as well as collaborating with the likes of Elton John, The Smiths and Eric Clapton.
He's the voice behind some of our favourite songs, including this 1974 smash hit.
There ain't any
Well, of course, it is Paul Carrack. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Now, you've released your 18th studio album, One on One, which you recorded during lockdown.
But I actually last year had no plans to record anything because different, it becomes more personal and has an individual stamp on it, I think.
You're going to be performing your new single for us later, You're Not Alone. Can I ask you, what made you write the song? What's the message behind it?
Well, I very rarely have a plan as to what a song's going to be about.
Squeeze, Mike and the Mechanics, you've worked with the likes of Elton John, Eric Clapton, The Smiths. You were on that first Smiths album,
Yeah.
Smith to Smith. I mean, that's for me growing up, I remember. I mean,
not alone.